I want to show you something. This is an idea from our subreddit about how Donald Trump could run for a third term. Now, this is not cutesy stuff like Trump running as vice president and then the VP resigns. This is just hardcore authoritarianism. Basically, is anyone going to stop me? That's the underlying premise here. I'll tell you the idea, then we will discuss whether it's possible. Mark W. on the subreddit says how Trump runs again and writes, it's really not a huge stretch how Trump will plan to run again based on his own Supreme Court ruling regarding his insurrection case. There's no crazy runaround with him being VP or run for speaker. He just does it and dares them to stop it. Step one, they'll say states lack constitutional authority to enforce the 22nd Amendment to keep Trump off the ballot. Therefore, they can't use the 22nd Amendment to keep candidates off of state ballots, meaning Trump will appear on all 50 ballots. Win, lose, or draw, Trump will claim victory. House of Representatives will certify it. And in review, the Supreme Court will say the 22nd Amendment's enforcement is Congress's responsibility. So the idea here from Mark is each state individually can say, listen, there are federal laws about who's eligible to be president. We're just a state. We don't enforce that. We don't enforce the 22nd Amendment. Trump can appear on our ballot. It'll be up to someone else. Maybe it's the Supreme Court. Maybe it's Congress to figure out what happens if Trump wins our state and ultimately wins 270 electoral votes. That's the idea. Now, let me give you the counterpoints because they are important. If you like these types of analyses, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, and consider sharing the video. The idea is states can't enforce the 22nd Amendment. This is based on Trump v. Anderson. Now, Trump v. Anderson is the legal case where the Supreme Court said states are not allowed to determine eligibility for federal office, including the presidency, under Section 3 of the 14th Amendment. And you might think, well, if states aren't allowed to determine eligibility, then states can't say to Trump in 2028, you're not allowed to be on the ballot. If that's the case, then this idea, at least potentially, has some merit. But there is a problem with that. And the problem is that that decision was based on Section 3's text referring to Congress may, by vote of 2/3, remove such disability. In other words, it talks about congressional enforcement. The 22nd Amendment is different. The 22nd Amendment doesn't have an enforcement clause requiring congressional action. It just says you can't run unless you meet these conditions. Based on that, the 22nd Amendment and states wouldn't be about states determining eligibility. Remember, Trump v. Anderson was about because Trump led the insurrection, has he been disqualified from being a valid candidate? And a court said states can't make that determination. That is not what it would be this time. Having served 2 terms, it is not up to states to determine eligibility. It is simple. You're just not allowed to run. That's it. And the Anderson case distinguishes between disqualification, which might require congressional involvement, and just not meeting basic eligibility requirements, which states routinely enforce. That's the critical part. States routinely enforce basic eligibility for federal office. If states do enforce those eligibility requirements, this theory is dead in the water. Any state that tried to put Trump on the ballot for a third term would immediately be hit with a lawsuit with clear standing. Every opposing candidate would have standing. Voters would have standing. State officials would have standing to bring a lawsuit. And the precedent would be states have enforced constitutional eligibility requirements for federal offices throughout history. It's not controversial. States do it all the time. So there are some saying this would be a legal loophole. It's not a legal loophole. It's just a scenario which would require the complete collapse of constitutional enforcement mechanisms. The 22nd Amendment is different than evaluating, did Trump give up eligibility because he led an insurrection? The 22nd Amendment is self-executing. regularly enforced by states. So if anybody tries to run for a third presidential term, you would face immediate legal challenges. However, and this is sort of like always the thing when it comes to Donald Trump, where we ultimately end up is, do the laws matter if no one will enforce them? And I know many of you are sort of cringing at that. That's where we find ourselves. It's sort of like, oh, here's another Hatch Act violation by a Trump official. Cool. They're never enforced. The Hatch Act is never enforced. There's never consequences. No one does a thing about it. So the theory is interesting. By precedent and by the law, it wouldn't work. States aren't saying, well, I don't know. We have to debate whether he served 2 terms. He's not eligible. That's it. There's no legal controversy. But we've seen with this administration many instances where something is against the law, it's unconstitutional, apparently unconstitutional. There's a direct court order, and this administration just ignores it. And if nobody really has the teeth to enforce, then what does it really mean that something isn't allowed, is against the law, is unconstitutional? So my assessment on the merits is as interesting as Mark's hypothesis is. It's completely impossible. My analysis based on we're essentially in November of 2025, and there's a growing track record of Trump getting away with whatever he tries to do. That's where it makes me say, damn, could he get away with it? I don't know. Let me know what you think. Leave a comment. Send me an email, info@davidpakman.com. Could this work for a Trump third term? If you've ever been blocked from going to certain websites or watching your favorite shows on Netflix because they're not available in your country, check out our sponsor, Private Internet Access, which is a VPN fully optimized for streaming and downloading large video files. It'll hide your real IP address and reroute your internet traffic through a secure server in any of 91 countries or all 50 US states. And this lets you access region-restricted content on the web, as well as platforms like Netflix and Disney Plus and Amazon Prime, no matter where you are. I've been using Private Internet Access to get soccer games from Argentina, not available in the US. I love it. It's super easy. You open the app, you choose a server, and you're in. Works on unlimited devices, so your whole household can stream freely. And it also supports lightning fast peer-to-peer file sharing, and they can prove they do not log your activity. Right now, Private Internet Access is giving my audience 83% off, which is just $203 a month and 4 extra months for free. Go to piavpn.com/Pakman. The link is in the description.